Hi, I hope you're enjoying these Moments of Truth videos. Most of them so far have been where I bring someone on camera, they ask a question of my guides, and the guides answer. This one's a little bit different. It happened during a recent uh, webinar online in which I was teaching my soul to soul mediumship course. The course organizer told me that they had had several people ask the same question about reincarnation. How can we speak to our loved ones if they've already reincarnated? As they told me that and asked if I would address it, I had a nudge that my guides would like to answer that question. I thought we were going to answer it right up front in the class, but instead, they guided me during that module to wait. You'll see here how the guide suddenly caught my attention and said, now is the time. I'm tuning into my guides right here. There it is. But their answer requires a little bit of background before I share it with you because they reference something that came up in the class. So here's the background. In the class, I shared two readings that were very unusual that I have done. Oh, it was probably several years ago now. For the first time ever, I brought through two fathers. In both cases, it was a father across the veil. And they came in escorted by very loving, higher beings. You could call them guides, you could call them angels. I just knew that they were beings of light on each side of these fathers, two separate readings. And the fathers were, as they were shown to me, basically cocooned to such a point where they were not allowed to speak directly to my client, to their daughter. And the reason became very clear. Both of these fathers had performed very cruel acts, some sexual abuse. One man was even a murderer, and really perpetuated acts that we would not want them back in with the general population across the veil. We were shown that these fathers were in a hell of their own making, and yet they were brought in with these loving beings. And they explained to me that all humans are aspects of a much greater soul than just the one role we are all playing right now in our lifetime. These two fathers had been so blinded to their soul presence that they made, in our human terms, truly terrible choices, not aligned with our true nature as love. And so when they passed, that field of energy, their aura, their energetic field, was not allowed to just disperse back into the soul, but instead was being shown to that aspect of the soul that was the father in a way that they saw and were made to feel the full effects of their choices while in the human body. But yet they were surrounded by love, so they could feel the love that's our true nature, but they had to basically make choices aligned with that love, ask for forgiveness, and heal themselves before being able to fully merge with the wholeness of the soul. The message for both clients in that case was, you don't have to worry about meeting up with your father when you cross the veil, because he is still working on himself. Perhaps he would be healed by the time they pass. That's outside the scope of this video right now. But the lesson was, the soul is so much bigger than one role. And the parts of us that play the human role, if they go awry too much, are somewhat compartmentalized within the soul. So that's the backstory, and hopefully that'll make sense to you now as you watch how my guides came through and answered the question, how can we speak to someone if they've already reincarnated? I hope you find it quite enlightening. Tells me that every class so far, we're continuing to get questions about reincarnation. And it's the same question, and my guides tell me they want to answer it. So Sanaya will answer the question, and the question is, how is it possible to talk to someone who has reincarnated? And so we'll let the guides answer this one. Perhaps you have not been listening as we have been describing these many weeks to you, the nature of the soul. And we hope that our descriptions to you today have allowed you to understand that just as this one who committed what you would call acts of evil and was compartmented within the soul, which you may view as a cell with multiple elements as a part of it, compartmented yet fully part of that cell, which you would understand as the soul, just as that one being was not the wholeness of the soul, yet was fully integral with the soul. Each of you are one compartmentation of a fluid, ever-flowing wholeness that you would understand as your higher self, the soul. And this higher self, the soul, is part of an even greater wholeness. All are parts and yet wholeness unto themselves within greater aspects of wholeness. And how is it possible then to tune into one being who has reincarnated? That is because that being is still part of the soul. That being has not reincarnated. The soul has produced another compartmentation of itself. Do you understand? You are seeing in either or mentality. We call this two-point logic, either or. We wish you to expand to four-part logic, which includes all possibilities, both and. You are both human and a greater soul here and now. Your soul, the higher self of you, can play limitless roles. Therefore, it is fully possible to tune into any being whilst the soul is being other beings. We hope we have explained this finally in a way which makes sense to you. We did ask this one to wait until the end of the class when she wanted to answer this question up front. For now, you see that we were able to incorporate the lessons within this lesson of the soul that was compartmented. In your daily waking life, do you not often compartmentalize tasks that you are working on in the wholeness of all of your tasks? The soul does this itself, but without physical boundaries. The soul is one pattern, one flowing whirlpool of consciousness, and you are another tiny eddy within it. It is not compartmentalization, as you know, in the human world, where you literally build a wall. If you were to have a wall around you, love could not flow. It is this very porosity of consciousness that allows those who are cocooned off from their greater wholeness to know and feel enough of that love that they are pulled ever onward, ever upward, never fully blocked from love. This is why there is hope and growth for all. Oh, man. I hope you enjoyed that. If you're interested in my Soul to Soul course, go to my website, SuzanneGiesemann.com, check out the courses, and you'll see there on the right all of the courses that are available through the Shift Network, as well as my personal courses, because the bottom line is all of us can learn to connect with higher beings. Have a great day.